Welcome to Straight Facts on Wednesday. Dom Husam, Judge Mo here with me. How are you, gentlemen?
Good. Real good. You get me straight facts. See how Mo has learned his lesson 3 shows in? He now lets me speak first. Big up to all of you guys. Make sure you guys are liking the video. Make sure you guys are subscribing. You get me? Beautiful face on the intro again. A lot to discuss today. There's so much news. But yeah, we're out here. You get me? Big up to all of you. Love you all. Terrace community, my favorite community in the world.
You guys know the drill. You guys know the drill. You like the video now, so you don't have to interrupt your entertainment, and you like it later. And if you're watching this on the replay, right away, you hit that like button. Looks like thumbs up if you've been living under the rock for the last 5 years on YouTube. Looks like exactly what Husam just did. Thumbs up. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, cheers, boys. Appreciate that. Viewers, there's so much to talk about today with the sacking of Poch, who the next manager is going to be, the tapping up story around Dan Ashworth, and much more. We can talk a bit of Arsenal on here as well. But the breaking news in the last 10 minutes, actually, comes from Damasio. And Damasio has stated that Ten Hag is expected to leave United this summer. 3 candidates to replace him are Kieran McKenna, Zerbi, and Poch. There's a chance that McKenna could join Chelsea if that happens. Poch could become a prominent candidate for Old Trafford. They are, when you read it further down, he says Ten Hag is set to leave this summer, is the headline from Damasio. A lot of United fans have been wondering when this was going to happen. Was this going to be announced? But you're now starting to see journalists and credible journalists like Damasio speak about this with a bit more vim, with a little bit more certainty that Ten Hag will leave. And he believes they are the 3 main candidates, Kieran McKenna, the Zerbi, and Pochettino. Your thoughts on that, Husam?
The Pochettino one, we're going to have to leave till later because I feel like the Pochettino one is related to the Chelsea one. So I'm going to push that one to the side. I think, obviously we spoke about the manager market plenty of times on Straight Facts. We've said our opinions on the manager market. And this is just the reality of the manager market. We've said this 100 times. We'll come to the Arsenal section as well later on when it comes to Arteta conversations. But I feel like sometimes the market dictates what you do. The problem is you look at this managerial market and there's no one really available out there that's such a cutthroat option that the entirety of the fan base will agree on. I don't think there is a singular name currently linked to Man United from the start of this process. I'm saying from when it started till this very second that you could go what? Every single United fan will back him, will support him, will say 100% positive things about him. And this is just the reality of the situation. You look at, where Man United are currently at. Would Scott McKenna necessarily be a bad choice for them? No. Sorry, not Scott. Kieran McKenna, I think, right? His name's Kieran.
Yes, Kieran, yeah.
Yes, I don't know where I got Scott from. Kieran McKenna. Would Kieran McKenna be a good option for Man United? Yes, it's a possibility that Kieran McKenna is a good option for Man United because maybe they need to start over. And you know what? I actually find something that could be really interesting, and I'm sure even Terry will agree with what I'm saying in terms of just the fan base mentality. Maybe hiring a McKenna will be humbling for the fan base in the sense of, okay, you know what? We're not that club now. We're trying to get back to the level of us being that club. And in order for us to get to that level, we need to hire a manager essentially to build us up in the right way. Because many people need to realize, you look at this Man United team, and I know Terry isn't one of them, so I'll give him credit for this. But I'm speaking to Man United fans who are already speaking about title races and challenging for the league and getting back to the top. I'm like, guys, it's going to take time. You have to rebuild the squad properly. And I think it genuinely might take 2-3 transfer windows. So signing McKenna might not be a negative thing. I'd actually be worried if Man United do get McKenna, because if he does get it going, it's extremely high risk. Okay? Let's all say that. It's 100% high risk. But the reward on it is unbelievable. Yeah. The reward is unbelievable.
What you just said there about Man United fans understanding our situation, the people talking about title races, we have to act like a serious club, we should get the biggest managers and try and sign all the star players. These are the same people who have consistently believed, sack the current manager, we improve instantly. Get rid of 1 or 2 players, we go to the next level. They have consistently ignored and failed to call out the fundamental root cause problems at Manchester United. And I feel as though what they're doing, there'll be a combination of reasons. Some people will have multi, some it's just singular. Some just are a little bit dense, a little bit thick, and they don't understand it. Some, I think, almost enjoy the negativity around the club. So I almost get this feeling of if we push the narrative that we now should challenge straight away and we don't, even if we're improving, I can continue to be negative about Man United because that gets me attention on Twitter, it gets me views online, and I'm not being kind of real about the situation. And I feel like those two categories make up a lot of those people. Almost, I'm going to put out a standard that I know can't be achieved straight away so that I can moan that we're not achieving it straight away. Because actually, if you're level-headed as a Man United fan and you understand you've got to start again, we could have a very good year next season in terms of the first year of this rebuild, but it doesn't necessarily mean a good year compared to where City or Arsenal are right now. But you need to build from that foundation. And for some people, and I saw this in the 6 really good months that we had under Ten Hag, those people fade away and nobody talks about them. No one retweets them. Nobody gives their opinions any real attention because they only really succeed. They're like fungus. They only really grow in shit. Does that make sense? They're like the fungus fans, I like to call them. They only grow in poop. They only grow when it's bad. So you get a lot of people like that. And I'm talking predominantly about the nameless, faceless people on social media. I'm not talking about content creators, people that use their real names, I'm talking about those individuals. And I'm not really worried about what they've got to say.
How far away are you from a title race, in Terry's opinion?
I mean, in my opinion, look, I would say 3 seasons. I would say 3 seasons. Could it happen sooner? Absolutely. But what you won't see from me is this. Let's just say it's the Zerbi that comes in because he's been my number 1 pick of realistic targets the whole time. Say it's Zerbi. And after 10 games, we're on 27 points. You won't see me say we're in a title race because I understand that there'll be there's going to be peaks and troughs as we grow and we develop. It doesn't mean I won't be impressed with what we're doing and excited about our style of play and backing my club and manager, but I'm going to remain level-headed. If we start off in the first 10 games and we have 15 points, I'm equally going to stay level-headed and understand that it's going to take time to get to where we want to be. And I think for me, that's what United fans have got to do. But remember, the individuals that don't want to listen to that are the same people the whole time that have said things like, sack Jose, bring me Poch, we win the league. Sack Ollie, bring me Ten Hag, we win the league instantly. That has been their view. That has been that these are the same people that see a club implement a style after 3 months and go, that's how easy it is to run a club, Terry. Within 3 months, you're fixed. Typically, that club a year and a half later is in the same problems because anyone, like, listen, what Oliver Glasner is doing at Palace is amazing. But are we forgetting that Patrick Vieira did that with Palace?
Yes.
It look brilliant, and then it fades away. We've seen lots of managers go in, have great starts, whether it be a lack of investment, whether it be losing their best players, whether it's their system being found out and they don't have the breadth and depth as a coach to
having a plan B, all that stuff
to change. And I'm not having a go at Oliver Glasner. He could be the guy that bucks that trend. But you don't want to get overexcited too early, and you don't want to be negative too early. What's going on at Man United from this summer onwards is unprecedented since post-Fergie. The world is different. And I know the world is different by the way we're getting, the way people are moaning about, oh, you've been tapping up Dan Ashworth. It's a disgrace. It isn't a good look that he sent an email to the wrong person. But let us not pretend like all our clubs are not out there tapping people up. Let's not pretend like we all thought Omar Barada was going to be sitting at home for 6 months with his finger up his bum, doing nothing. We knew they were going to be communicating and working and talking. It's been leaked. Not through ironically, not through Man United directly. It hasn't actually come from us. It's actually 2 people that don't officially work for us talking about the potential of working for us. So we're not going to get into any trouble ourselves because the emails don't state anything that we've done. It's them 2 talking. But the way everybody's triggered by it tells me underneath people know we're moving in the right direction, slowly but surely. Proof still in the pudding on the field of play, but look, I've got respect for Ten Hag. I believe that he'll go on to be a good manager somewhere else. But I hope this story is true from Damasio. I think it's the right thing for us to do. I look at the 3 names on that list. I'm glad I really still pray and hope we don't bring in Southgate. I think that would be a mistake. I'm not against McKenna. I think there's talent in there. I really, really like De Zerbi. I think the criticism that De Zerbi gets is absolutely ridiculous. And every time I put out this point, and I'm going to put it out again just for continuation, no one, not in the thousands of comments we get a week, has tried to rebuttal what I've said. take any top manager in England in the last 2 years, 2 summers running, take their best players away and replace them with kids, have one of the smallest budgets and one of the smallest incomes in the Premier League, and do what De Zerbi's done, pound for pound, and then we're talking.
Below Potter, though.
What do you mean?
He finished below where Potter finished in his last season. Potter finished.
Yeah, I understand that, but I weren't someone that was criticizing Potter either. I think Potter was a very talented manager.
Yeah, I think Potter was talented.
My point is this: do we all think Arsenal would have finished second in the league this year if last summer and the summer before that they lost their 3 or 4 best players and replaced them with potential? The answer is probably not. And this is why I look at De Zerbi and go, there's definitely question marks, there's holes and there's flaws, like every manager out there, barring probably Pep. But I'm really excited about him. Poch, on the other hand, look, everyone knows I'm not a big fan of Poch. I'm not a big fan of him. I thought he'd have Chelsea playing better football earlier. That didn't quite happen. I'd be worried about him coming to Manchester United. But the biggest 2 reasons I'm worried about De Zerbi and De Zerbi and Poch is they both want control over transfers, and our club has been briefing the press that we don't want to give out control of transfers to a manager. We want a head coach. The only way it works with those 2 is if there's genuine synergy between what we want from the board level and what they want. So actually, you've got kind of control over transfers because you see the world in the same way, if that makes sense. That's the only way. That's the only way it works for me. Go on, mate.
I actually thought about this Man United thing since you guys are talking, and I actually thought that Liverpool should be the model. What Liverpool did after Brendan Rodgers bringing Jurgen Klopp should be the model for Man United. Bringing in a manager like Jurgen Klopp is not only coaching the first team. When you hear the journalists that are in the Liverpool camp, that reporters for the Guardian, the Sky Sport, the Daily Mail, they talk about how Jurgen Klopp, when they go to the club, they see his footprint everywhere in the club. It's not only in the first team. They see his footprints in everything, in how the people work in the kitchen and how people treat each other in the club and everything. I think Pochettino, I don't know if he can do this. You need a manager from that caliber of a personality like Jurgen Klopp. As much as we say he failed, I underachieved. No, but you can find someone like this who will change the culture of the club, especially because Man United hired the right people. Jurgen Klopp, they didn't have the last say in the transfer market, nor does Pep Guardiola, by the way. He was talking that, what's his name? The guy that runs the club. I can't remember his name now. He was talking about Pep Guardiola giving them a type of a player and 5 names, and they go and do the business. This is someone who just suggests, and the people go and do the business. Man United needs someone like this. Needs someone to change the culture of the youth teams.
Agreed.
Of your youth teams. It's not a change the culture of the people that work in the background. Not only a football coach that will come in, sit in the room, do tactics. That's not what you need. And this manager might be, if I'm looking at this, the one that I think, based on what I'm hearing and based on the interviews with the players that will coach before, is De Zerbi, right?
Yeah, of course.
Is De Zerbi. The reason why, if you've
been on the Zerbi bandwagon from the start.
Hold on. Let me finish my point. My point about this, if you listen to all the interviews from the players that actually worked under him, they all have the same thing. He's a strict manager with a culture that all of us have to follow. He doesn't treat anyone differently than the other. He doesn't treat someone better than the next guy. That means this guy just has a style, not a style of play, a style of coaching, right? That will come in and be embedded in the club. And I think he's your best option. I agree with you, Terry. McKenna, I don't know a lot about him, but I can say that if a coach is coaching in the championship, I have seen this movie so many times. When they go to the Premier League, they don't succeed.
And it's interesting you mentioned, you mentioned McKenna. The BBC have just reported, so that goes against Damasio's report. We'll get on to Chelsea in a minute, that Chelsea are believed to be in pole position to sign McKenna. But that doesn't mean that McKenna's their number one choice. McKenna just might look at it as, I want to go to Chelsea. But I would take De Zerbi at Man United. Look, and there's a super chat here I want to address before we move on to the Chelsea conversation. But it says, Terry, you say you are level-headed, but after 18 months, you want a manager out. Even though we are crippled with injuries, the cycle continues. Good challenge. I don't believe the cycle continues, though. And let me explain why. I would unless we were right up there in the league and playing scintillating football and looked amazing, I would be open and wanting the managers to go regardless. I believe that we should start again from fresh. which means over the next 2 years, clear out the majority of all of the deadwood and a large percentage of the squad, change the board, which we have, change the medical team, add new scouts, change the coaching staff in its entirety. I believe we should do that so that everything is fresh and new, because I think we've got to gut it all out to grow. We've got to clear everything out to regrow. If we leave any ounce of toxicity or bad elements of the past at the club, I believe it will slow our progression down. So it isn't about not being level-headed. And I hate the manager. I don't dislike Ten Hag. I think he's got a good career ahead of him still. I don't believe he's as trash as people make out. I believe he has been damaged by the club every bit as much as players come in and get damaged. I've said this on so many occasions. I've not been out here insulting him, talking about his appearance, his lack of hair, whatever it may be. I'm speaking purely about how things look to me. So that's it. Twisted Bubba says, Terry, your manager opinion is so lazy. You've got to expand on it. You can't just make an accusation without expanding.
Thing is with Ten Hag, I'll say this to defend Terry's point. Here's the thing. The problem is with Ten Hag, I believe Ten Hag has had the most power post Alex Ferguson in terms of transfers, just getting everyone you want and all that type of stuff. He lived by the sword and he's dying by the sword right now. This is the problem. I understand why Ten Hag gets criticism. There are managers where I actually fully get it. I think the problem with Ten Hag is he abandoned all principles, all Ajax football type stuff as soon as he walked into the club. And then he tried to do that the year after, which makes no sense. And then he made all these transfers. The Anthonys, the players that you don't like, were all Ten Hag signings. It's just the reality.
Absolutely. Smash the like button.
Still freaking back then. What do you see?
I don't get what
you know what? I can explain it to you.
In my head.
Boys, I can explain it to you. So when you hear Man United fans say we've got to break the cycle, that's because when Ten Hag came in, there were people out there. Leah probably had the best saying, which was, we don't cheat the process. And I agree with that. And I still agree with it. And part of not cheating that process was letting a manager finish what he started. The problem is we've cheated the process. The club has, because the manager shouldn't have control over signings. Most managers are not trained scouts. Most managers, I don't believe, they have good talent ID, but the manager has come in with a set style of play to his name. And between him and the club, I don't really care which one, have agreed to not play that way and play a different way. But then he's allowed to assign players who essentially fit his old style, because that's what he used to coach when he managed them or players like them before. So you've added players that fit his system that he's now not coaching in the club. You've already broke the process. So therefore, the process has been cheated. Got to clear it all out and start again. But I do agree we've got to break the cycle. How you break that cycle is by having a club philosophy, a profile of player that fits it, and a manager to coach it. You may need to sack that manager a year in, 2 years in, if they're doing a horrible job, but everything else can remain the same because you want to create consistency. So Man United fans are right when they say you've got to break the process. What I believe they are either failing to understand or not researching is that the process, the cycle's already been damaged. You've got to start again. And it's going to happen under Ineos. Patrick here says, as a United fan, I just want clarity around the manager and move forward with whoever is in charge once we know who it is and we can set expectations. We're not going to get that until after Saturday. We were never going to get it until after the FA Cup final. So I think that's, for a lot of people, their season's over. For us, it isn't. So we've just got to wait. But that'll be coming very, very soon indeed. Listen, people, make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace. The QR code you can see on the screen takes you through to our transfer group chat on Telegram. No spamming. No one else can see your number. We've got a couple of journalists working exclusively for the Football Terrace this summer that will be posting updates and news in there all the time. Links to our shows as well. I know YouTube's been on a madness today, and I know a lot of you want to keep up to date with what we're doing. So just scan the QR code, join the Telegram group chat. So much is going to be shared in there over the next 3 to 4 months. So make sure you are part of it. Moving on to Chelsea. We will get on to the news around who they're likely to bring in. There's big news around Enzo Maresca, coming in from Leicester. But your reaction, Husam, to your man, essentially, Poch, being dismissed yesterday and all of the fallout that essentially surrounds it?
First of all, Terry, a whole 365 days later, you can finally say, Husam, you were right on the Chelsea situation. Remember when I told you it's the worst club, it's the worst fan base to give a Pochettino to give a youth project to? It's been proven. And 365 days from now, Terry will be saying, Husam, you're right again on the Chelsea situation when they're the new manager out next season. I promise, before I get into the Pochettino thing, I'm going to make a promise right here, right now. The date is 22nd May, 2024, 2 days after my birthday. I'm making a public promise to the Terrace audience. 365 days from now, the same exact people that were Poch out are going to be manager X out, whoever it is, Maresca, whichever ever manager Chelsea are linked with right now, they're going to be the same exact person out, literally. Same exact person out. And they're going to be here on YouTube doing the same stuff. Oh, get the Zerbi out my club. Get McKenna out my club. Get this guy out my club. Get that guy out my club. That's just the reality of the situation. They're going to be saying the same exact stuff because they don't understand. They're the ones who actually want to cheat the process. Speaking of cheating the process, they're the ones who don't understand what it takes to build a successful institution. This is the problem with them. Chelsea last season finished 12th. This season, they finished 6th. Logic dictates that there is zero reason to sack Mauricio Pochettino, whether people like it or not. Chelsea have assembled a Europa League level squad, and they finished in the Europa League positions. Out of the teams that finished above them, the only team you could make an argument isn't better than them on paper is Spurs. Other than that, all the other teams are better than them on paper. And it's just the reality of the situation. You look at Chelsea Football Club, and the biggest problem with Chelsea is the Clearlake ownership group. I'm no longer calling them Clearlake, I'm calling them Clearlake. You know, maybe the likes of Minerals and these guys were right. They were right. Let's have it right. You know, the likes of Todd Bowley, Igbali, Stanley, Stewart, the biggest clowns that have ruined the ethos of what Chelsea Football Club is. The problem with the Chelsea fans is they have an Abramovich mindset with a Bowley Igbali ownership and Bowley Igbali players. You look at this current squad. This guy has Madueke and Mudryk in Europa League spots. He should be given manager of the season just for that. Nicholas Jackson at the start of the season was getting compared to Darwin Nunez. He made him into a good striker. That's why he was mourning, you know, when Pochettino left the club yesterday. I think Chelsea are going to win the award for the stupidest institution in the English Premier League. I think sacking Pochettino is an absolutely idiotic decision. Chelsea fans come tell me, we spent the most of the season in 12th place and we ended up finishing 6th. Two things. Would you rather spend the whole season in 6th and then finish 12th then? If that's your logic, you just want to say where you spent most of the season or where you ended. Second thing I want to say is, you told Arsenal fans, it doesn't matter where you are in January, it matters where you are in May. Okay, in May you're 6th. And why do I care where you were in January? In January, I was top of the league. Now I'm now 3rd. I'd rather be 1st in May and 3rd in January. It doesn't matter if it took him long to figure it out or whatever it is. The reality is that no one will tell you. Chelsea have been decimated by injuries. Chelsea have made multiple wrong transfers. There are players who just needed time to get used to the league, get used to the country, get used to the culture, get used to the food, get used to the speed, get used to everything, and now suddenly they're playing. Then Kunku balloon celebration, we saw it, Terry, for the first time in game week 37. Game week 37. In Kunku, we made a fantastic signing. Yeah, but we only saw the balloon because this guy was injured the whole season. Reece James has been injured. Gusto's been injured. I could go through the entirety of the team and every single one of them has been injured. It got to the stage where Chelsea Football Club, big Chelsea Football Club, had a #United goalkeeper on their bench. #United. The same team that the YouTuber owns, Spencer, I think his name is. #United goalkeeper was on Chelsea's bench. Can you imagine from 15 years ago if I told you the bench player is going to be one of the goalkeepers that used to play for a YouTube team? You'd all laughed at me. This is simply the level of Chelsea now. Mauricio Pochettino did a fantastic job at Chelsea. Fantastic job at Chelsea. I don't care what anyone says. He built them up to the level, step by step by step by step. He got them there at the end. He finished in 6th place. They're a Europa League squad anyway. He got to a Carabao Cup final. FA Cup, he done really well. I forgot who knocked them out the FA Cup. I think it was City. City in the semi-final. They even dominated them in the semis at Wembley. I think Chelsea are headed nowhere fast. And I promise every single person watching right now and my fellow panelists, within December 2024, forget 2025, December 2024, whether it's McKenna, whether it's Enzo Maresca, whether it's any of these guys, every single one of these Chelsea fans who are insulting me right now, or are saying thank God Poch is gone, or are celebrating, are going to be said manager out in December. I'm making a promise, and I will live up to the promise right here, right now. There will be the manager out. And final point I'll say, this is the same exact thing we warned the Chelsea fans about before this thing even started. Me and Mo have had these conversations with Chelsea fans. I've done it with Terry on Straight Facts multiple times. I've been here on Match Reactions and I said the same thing. The manager market stinks. You're not going to get Hansi Flick. You're not going to get Thomas Tuchel. You're not going to get any of the good managers. Who are you linked with? McKenna, Maresca, these type of managers. And you'll still have Don come on the terrace in the summer and tell you that we have a top 4 squad and we should finish in the top 4 next season, when this is the team that they have. They just signed Estevao.
On you saying that, obviously the news that's come out from Damasio today is that Enzo Maresca is the main candidate to become the new Chelsea coach. He has convinced convinced them on the style of play, has a release clause of 10 million. We obviously know about McKenna and sort of where he's been at the last few years. Another story that's come out here from someone close to Chelsea is that Poch's successor will have to accept the authority of the board and sporting directors with a control that could even stretch into elements of on-pitch coaching. So it's very much, they all not quite picking the starting 11, but the board want a lot of influence on transfers, how you play, the type
on-pitch coaching.
On-pitch coaching that needs to happen as well. When you read this, Mo, they've sacked Poch, they're looking for something new. This man, this is his CV, as we can see. He was the assistant manager at Manchester City. He's been at Parma in the past and City's under 23s. He's looked after Leicester for 50 odd games. Do you think he is currently, the bookies have Zerbi as the favorite, but the media are stating that he is currently the top candidate. Is someone like him or McKenna going to help fix Chelsea, in your opinion?
No. Here you go. Todd Bowley is a bitter man. He didn't like that Pochettino called him out. He didn't like that Pochettino publicly demanded a say at the transfer market, basically a say at the club. This is how I see it. If these guys sacked Pochettino and went and tried to get Hansi Flick, for example, or even someone like a Conte or a Mourinho, I would think, yeah, okay. So you wanted to move forward. You didn't like Pochettino. You didn't like his football. And you wanted to move on. But looking at the names they're linked with all due respect, I think these guys want to continue with this youth project, buying Estevao and buying Husam's nephew and Husam's cousin, the young cousin from Jordan, and sell them later for profit. You know what I mean? I'm serious. By the way, hiring someone like this, don't give me style of play, not style of play. Pochettino had a style of play. Up until like 15 games, go check the stats. They were the highest team in position, created chances most in the league, and missed chances most in the league. So he has a style. Let's just establish it. And by the way, do you guys know that in the last 16 games of the season, the accumulated points more than Liverpool in the league? They're the third. You guys know that? That doesn't come out of nowhere. Jackson started scoring, as Husam said. Everyone. So for you to say, well, we need a style of play, the Pochettino offered that. And offer development for some of the players, even though it came late, but he did.
Yeah.
But I think Todd Bowley and Clown Lake, whatever the name is, I think they're bitter. They're bitter people. They didn't like that he called them out. And what they want is not only they want a yes man, because Pep Guardiola is a yes man. Pep Guardiola accepts that the board are running Manchester City and they get him players and he works with them, but he demands a certain quality of players. Antonio Conte is not a yes man. Jose Mourinho is not, but there are managers out there that will work if you give them good talent. They don't want someone like this. They want someone that will accept anything, bro. Like, what I mean is that they will get him a player that is very young, not known, and work with him. They want a puppet. With all due respect to these guys.
So, but when they say puppet, so before we actually get into Enzo, because I've got something that Chelsea fans have been saying, I have a problem with the concept of they want a puppet. Because, as you've just said, to a certain degree, Pep is a yes man and a puppet. Pep didn't know who Doku was when he got signed, but he was given to him. I'm sure he knew who Haaland was because he was very, very famous. But it's about trust. And I think this is the difference. I think I understand what Chelsea want, and I don't think what they want and what they say is wrong. It isn't, but it's about picking the right person to do that job. So I'll give you an example if I take it down to my business. I own an estate agency or a real estate company. I won't hire someone to run it for me who has short to medium term goals of starting his own estate agency. And the reason why I won't do that is because there is a possibility that he or she could learn and grow, start making contacts through my business, and then when they've built up enough contacts and everything else, start their own thing and compete against me. So if I know that is something they want to do, if I do my due diligence right and I see that within them, that isn't the type of person. I want someone that's hardworking and dedicated, but has almost zero desire to own their own business, at least in the short to medium term, who's going to dedicate themselves to me, and I'm going to pay them a good salary and good bonuses to compensate them for that time. But that's about me doing my due diligence. The person comes in, does 2 years, steals my contact, and then competes against me. It's not their fault. It's my fault for hiring them. And this is the difference. Pep works at City being I'm going to use the words, a yes man stroke puppet, because he sees football in the same way as the people that run the club. There is synergy between the two. And this is where Chelsea fans have got to open up their eyes. They've got to open up their eyes. It's the lack of synergy. This is the fifth manager fifth manager since they've come in. They've gone from experience. They inherited experience, but they were going to give that a go. But then they went for an up-and-coming manager. Then they went for experience again, and then they've gone back to an up-and-coming manager. That in itself is switching and cheating your process regularly. So for me, it's not a bad thing. They want someone that they have control over, but they have to pick someone who, in the short to medium term, at the very least, that for me is 1 to 5 years, is going to be happy with that because they see eye to eye. And for me, that's the problem here. So it's not about having a yes man or not having a yes man. It's about creating synergy. I think we're bogged down on that puppet yes man element. You've just got to find the right person.
No,
and so far,
but hold on, there's a difference. I think there's a difference between a yes man.
That's crazy and scary.
It's a difference between having a yes man Terry like Pep, who only would say, I want this type of player or this
profile, basically.
Profile. While someone like these guys, well, I don't know, they're going to come to Chelsea. Chelsea's a big club. They're going to work with anything. I don't think these guys care about the fans. Do you know why? If they cared about the fans, they would have sacked Poch when they were 11 and the fans were screaming.
Yeah, why didn't they sack him when they were 12?
They didn't sack him when they were 11. They waited until the end of the season. When he spoke against them, they sacked him. It isn't about what the fans want. They don't get. By the way, if the new manager comes in and he aligns with what they want, if they're sitting 8th and the youth are playing and the values are okay and they're getting, they're going to be like, oh, suck it up, fans. We aren't selling the club. At the end, we aren't selling the club. We're going to keep getting
Chelsea fans.
Chelsea fans don't understand this.
They don't listen to the fans.
And if these guys listen to the fans, they would have sacked them when they were 11th because everyone was screaming Poch out. And there was a valid reason for them to sack him, but they didn't. They sacked him only when he spoke against them, right? Because I don't think at 11th you would say the season could have gotten worse. It couldn't have. It couldn't have gotten worse. You're 11th. So where else would you gonna go? 12th? Who cares? I actually think this and this guy.
I don't personally buy. I understand it's the report. I think there was probably a little bit of this data analysis, and they told him that they weren't happy with certain things on the pitch. In my honest opinion, he lost his job because they have fallen out and they don't see eye to eye. But that's also a mistake by both, because and look, maybe it is or it isn't a mistake.
Do you really think it was right to sack him, Terry? Do you really think it was? And let me ask you 2 questions. I'll ask you 2 questions.
Go on.
First, do you think it was right to sack him? And second question, I'll ask you: if you were a Chelsea fan, would you want your ownership out now or the manager out?
So I look at it this way: I don't think it's wrong per se to sack him if you don't see eye to eye anymore. So based on performances and the data element, I think that's all a little bit overstated. Because the report that it all came from Ben Jacobs, who's a big friend of the channel, said they sat him down and one of the biggest things they focused on was the missed chances. Well, the missed chances was due to the players that you bought for Poch. Therefore, how are you having to go at Poch? Right? That makes sense to me.
Yep.
But if you don't get on with your manager and you're butting heads and there isn't synergy, you've got to sack him. So I don't think it's wrong. What I think's an issue is this is another failed managerial appointment. Now, I don't care whether it's Winstanley and Stewart or Todd Bowley and Clearlake. It all amounts to the same thing.
The club, basically.
It still amounts to the same people. At the end of the day, it still gets signed off. But whether Todd Bowley's in the meetings or he signs off on it, it's the same difference. And people are getting far too carried away with that at the end of the day. Now, my biggest red flag, I've said it already, is that they've gone from experience to inexperience to experience. So like win now manager, project manager, win now manager, project manager type approach is what they've done.
Yeah.
I'm just using modern day colloquial terms for it, really. That would be more of my concern than sacking Poch as the individual. That would be a bigger concern to me than hiring McKenna. Is, well, what happens in 9 months? I'm getting Glazer vibes, which is every 12 to 18 months. Oh, someone somewhere sells them a new idea of how they can get back to the top and make more money. And they go, all right, we'll do that then. Yeah, but we're 6 months, 9 months into this project. Yeah, but we'll get out of it. We'll get out of it and say, because the data we're pulling away. We'll start putting out stories that match that really noisy part of our fan base that hate this manager, and we'll move on. There's just something about it. That element for me is more important than focusing on Poch. And the Chelsea fans I see that are solely focused on Poch, I think to myself, you don't get it at all. You don't get it at all. And I think there are things to be concerned about. That doesn't mean, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Poch. So I think some of the criticisms of Poch that Don has, I think are spot on. I don't think they're wrong. But it's the changing of direction. Again, or it feels like a changing of direction. And we know it is, because they're specifically stating we want a head coach. We want them to have less control. They're going for a young manager. We're going to continue to buy young players. Remember what Chelsea fans were telling us 3 or 4 months ago? Because their club briefed it to their tier 1 journalists. They were meant to be dropping the young player approach. They were getting rid of the under-25s policy. The stories are now starting to say that isn't the case. So they either lied to you 3 or 4 months ago or they've changed plans again. Which one is it? These are questions that Chelsea fans should be asking. Doesn't mean you slag your club off, but you should be asking because it helps protect your football club. Man United fans, in my opinion, including me, spent the better part of 10 to 15 years ignoring these questions. And it's what's led to where we are now. We should have pushed a lot harder, challenged a lot harder, and done more tangible actions against them to stop it getting this far. It's as simple and as straightforward as that for me. This is an interesting one here. Pochettino will be a leading candidate for the England job should he remain out of work and Southgate leaves.
That's true, actually. That's it. I'm just reading it now. It's Matt Law.
As much as I rate Pochettino, I don't think he's an international manager. He's more of a club manager. Work with the players, improve them step by step.
He doesn't have a great cup history, does he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's better.
Which is essentially what if we were going to pick our next Premier League manager to manage us for cups, I still don't understand why we didn't try and ever get Rafa Benitez. But there we go, just a cup manager. But it's an interesting one. But what are your thoughts, guys, on Enzo? And I want to bring this up because I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans online.
Enzo Maresca.
Enzo the player or the manager?
The new potential manager. So I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans online now start to push this notion, and I want to.
They're all going to be Enzo out next season.
Hang on. Let me just read you this stuff. So I'm hearing a lot of, I'm listening, I like this. They're saying that he won the Premier League 2 with Palmer and Lavia. He won the Championship with Leicester. And the big thing is they're saying he worked for Pep. So suddenly I'm seeing a lot of Chelsea fans now, thousands of them endorse this message and sort of say, well, yes, he doesn't have a lot of experience, but you look at who he's the protege of Pep. He's gone and won the Championship. Mm-hmm. He's managed some of our players before. Some online seem to really be getting behind him. Do you think Enzo will be a success, Hamza?
Oh no, leave Husam. I was going to say this. Chelsea fans.
Called me Hamza again, Terry. Yeah, unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Sorry. I meant Husam. Sorry.
I call you Mark. Go ahead.
before Husam goes. Chelsea fans, I'm going to ask you a simple question in the chat, and every Chelsea fan that's going to watch this, I want to ask you one question. You're lying to yourself, and you're doing what makes you sleep well at night. If before Poch I asked you, would you take Maresca? You would have said, who the F is that Maresca guy? What, Chelsea Football Club? Stop the nonsense. Who's this Maresca guy? And if I told you McKenna, you would have yelled at me. It's like, we're big Chelsea Football Club. We're the pride of London. We don't hire these managers. We don't hire these managers. We go for the elite ones. But now, because your board is putting you on the spot and they sacked Pochettino, and these are the names, you're like, I will listen to my board, who you didn't trust just a couple of months ago. You said they're out. Todd Bowley out. You're now doing what? You know why? Because you know your board, your Clearlake and Todd Bowley aren't selling the club. You're stuck with them. So what you're doing is you're staying in front of the mirror and you're trying to correct the lisp all the time. You're staying in front of the mirror. I'm good. I'm good. I can pronounce it. I'm good. I'm good. McKenna's good. Maresca's good. They know what they're doing. Because otherwise you'll go crazy. You would absolutely go crazy. Answer me this. Would you have taken Maresca before Poch?
No.
10 out of 10 would say no. So you're doing what makes you sleep well at night.
And the one that would say yes is a liar. And let me say this. You know what's funny about the Chelsea fans? They're all going to be Enzo out next season. Not Enzo the player, Enzo the manager. Because they'll never...
Could be double Enzo out. Could be Enzo out.
Yes. They'll never criticize the player. They'll never criticize the player. Why do you think... What's his name? The guy that comes on the match reactions, the Chelsea fans. What's his name? The guy that criticized Enzo. CB. Why do you think CB was such a breath of fresh air? Why? Because he's the only one who came up here and actually spoke facts on the players.
Ches said earlier on today that he trusts his board and the decision they make, and that he believes going after a young manager could be their version of Xabi Alonso.
Their version of Xabi Alonso. That's funny. Everything that Terry described sounds like their version of Mikel Arteta, who they spent the whole time mocking. That's the funny part.
It is very interesting here that if they do go for Enzo, it's a situation that, I mean, they are almost echoing what Arsenal did. You're taking a Pep protege, this time with a little bit more experience, to be fair, but no Premier League experience, and you're basically starting again from a beginning of a project and saying, try and make us good again. So for every Chelsea fan who's absolutely, essentially, you're not quite getting a Cone Boy because he's gone and won the championship. I get that, but it's a very similar approach to what Arsenal did.
They're getting Mikel Arteta 2.0. All the stuff that Terry was listing, I thought he was describing Arteta there for a second. He helped Pep. He coached youth teams. He was the assistant, all this type of stuff. It sounds exactly like Mikel Arteta, the same guy that Chelsea fans spent the last 2 months mocking for not winning a league title. So it's real funny how, you know, the one thing that pisses me off with Chelsea fans, and I'll say this because here's the thing. I support Liverpool. Terry supports Man United. Mo supports Inter. All three of us have had bad eras. All three of us have seen different things. Any Chelsea fan under 30 is institutionalized. But instead of it being in a prison, it's in a palace. The problem is whenever you speak to them, Terry, I swear to you, I'm actually being serious. It feels like all the points just go over their head because they actually don't realize what you're saying. They genuinely, deep down, if you cut them up, they just don't understand the points that you're making. For the last 20 years, they've spent the last 20 years in a palace. Chelsea fans were sitting in a palace. Roman Abramovich, the best of the best. All the best players, all the best managers. Carlo Ancelotti won me a double. Sacked away in the tunnel at Everton because we're not winning the league this season. Mourinho won me my first league title. 2 league titles in a row. Sacked the year after. They have the best of the best of the best of the best of the best. 20 years in a palace. Now someone comes and takes the palace away. They still act like they have butlers and they have servants and they have maids and they have the best furniture and, you know, art from the 1800s, but they really don't. This is the problem with these Chelsea fans. They genuinely don't understand that they're now living the reality which every single person who supported a normal football club over the last 20 years have lived. The ups and downs, the trials, the jubilations. You still speak to the Chelsea fans and they genuinely think that they are good enough to win. And there's still Chelsea fans till this day, Terry, who think they should have finished top 4 this season. With all the injuries, with everything. This is the type of shit that I genuinely don't understand with them. Every single point that you make goes over their head. Guys, this is not the Abramovich era anymore. Get it through your thick skulls because I cannot speak to football to Chelsea fans because they just don't get it. This is not the Abramovich era. This is the Bowley era, the Iqbali era. It's the American approach. You're doing the same type of stuff that they do in baseball, which is sign a bunch of players on long-term contracts, and they're now basically in jail forever at Chelsea. And you could see the reaction of the players yesterday. Do you see Jackson's Instagram post? Really disappointed that Pochettino's sacked. The players, I bet you the players ain't happy. And I remember a week ago, the report came from Nizar Cancela, Terry mentioned it, that the players are actually happy with Pochettino and don't want him gone. The last thing that these kids need...
Let's just slow down for a minute there, because I want to delve into that. And this is, I suppose, a question for you two. I'd love to go to Mo first on this, but I want the audience to answer this as well. A lot of the players and ex-players, legends like John Terry, the Chelsea fans are like, we've got a really good squad. That really good squad that you endorse is fuming that you've got rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
Should that not tell Chelsea fans something, Mo?
Not really, because all of them think that Pochettino misused that squad. So I think it's the opposite. You're looking at it the opposite way. They think that Pochettino misused that squad, and that squad doesn't know their worth. They literally said that. They said that he used the players wrong. They said that all the time. And I know that what you're saying, that Jackson is sad that he's leaving, and this guy said that he's leaving. But a lot of Chelsea fans think that these players don't know their what's good for them. They just don't know that. A lot of them said that you shouldn't play this guy here, you shouldn't play this guy there. I get what you're saying, but I actually think this Chelsea fan base is disjointed from where the club is heading. That's the main problem. The main problem here is that this Chelsea fan base, the majority of them, not all of them, are disjointed from where the club is heading and where the club should be now. I agree with Husam. And the problem is also, as you said, there's no synergy because the board are disjointed from where Chelsea were and what Chelsea should do in the future. They are treating the club completely
Mo, let
different.
me ask you a question, Mo. When you say the players were used in the wrong way, I heard your explanation yesterday. Ben Chilwell used on the left wing, all this the same. It's the same three things they say from the start of the year. Ben Chilwell left wing, Colwell left back, all this type of
and
stuff.
Enzo and a 10. That's all
Enzo on the 10. Did you know that Enzo Fernandez played 10 in River Plate? Do you guys know this? He played behind Julian Alvarez. So first of all, he's played there. Second of all, Pep Guardiola just won the league title with a centre back playing left back, Gvardiol. So what's the problem with playing Colwell, who's a technical player, as left back? Third of all, who trusted Mudryk at the start of the season? If you asked me right now, August, not a single ball has been kicked in the English Premier League. Husam, would you rather have Chilwell playing for Liverpool on the left or Mudryk playing on the left? I would have said Chilwell on the left. 100%.
They will never tell you that, Chelsea fans. Never. They will never say that.
No, but why don't they get it? That's the thing. It's just such
they
basic objective logic.
They get it. But because I think they find excuses. Because I'm going to tell you why. Chilwell played left back. They complain that he doesn't defend. Chilwell play left wing. They complain that he's left wing. Right? Colwell play left back, left-footed centre back, play left back. They don't like it. But they like Gvardiol and they like Bastoni at Inter and they like these stuff. They want the same things, right? But when it happens to their, why don't you play Colwell at centre back? But you have Thiago Silva. Why don't you play Thiago Silva? When Thiago Silva plays, they say it's too old. They don't know what they're doing. But the problem is Pochettino has been trying to use the squad in the right way. Cucurella, not good going forward. Defensively, he wasn't good. And at the end, when he played, why didn't you play Cucurella in the beginning of the season? Do you remember when he made the mistakes and you guys said Cucurella is not good enough? Right? In the beginning of the season?
Did he make the mistakes Aston Villa at home, I believe?
Yeah, I remember when he misjudged the pass and defensively was so wrong. And when he, you remember when he attacked a ball in the middle and I think it was Man City or something. My point about Chelsea fans that they don't give Poch, right, the same excuses they give the players and they give themselves. Like they sit and say,
Stop, Mo. You just said the excuses they give the players. Terry, latest super chat. See? You see how everything we say is getting proven right. Just put it up. Enzo played left wing with a hernia as well. Haha, this gaslighting session is hilarious. You're not fooling anyone. I love the fact that, you proved Mo's point as he was speaking. Directly. Had a hernia. Okay, let's assume Enzo had a hernia. So Poch has had to play with an injured midfielder all year long. Lavia's been out from the start of the season. Sterling was injured. Mudryk was injured. Jackson was injured. The only players who have been fit in the whole Chelsea squad, 25 players, Palmer and Gallagher. The rest of the team have all been injured at the point in time. Sanchez was injured. Petrovic was injured. Both the right backs. Reece James and Reece James's backup. Chilwell was injured. Cucurella was injured. Colwell is now injured. Disasi was injured. Thiago Silva was injured. Badiashile was injured. Nkunku, who people have changed their profile picture to the balloon celebration. We first saw it in match week 37 because he was on first name basis with a nurse all year long. Why don't you keep the same excuse level for Poch? Because Poch is the one that's fully affected by these injuries. Not Enzo. Poch is the guy that's affected by these injuries. Get it through your head. Why would I gaslight? Okay, let me tell you a gaslighter. I have to say this, Terry. Let me tell you a gaslighter. You know who gaslights? Hamza. Because yesterday, we're like, okay, Hamza, you think Poch is a good manager and you want to blame Clearlake. No problem. Would you take Pochettino at City? He's like, no. Ask me, would I take Poch at Liverpool? Yes. I take Poch at Liverpool over Slot. It's not gaslighting. The guy's a good manager. He's just figured out your club step by step by step by step. And you're getting into the position where you're now cooking. You have won the last 6 games factual in the Premier League. You have figured out a structure. You figured out a formula. And I know that he has a plan B ready. You know how I know this? Forest away. Because Nuno Santo figured out the Cucurella thing. Second half, Poch changed it. You win the game 3-2. Pochettino, good manager.
Can I, before you go on, Terry, before you go on, I'm sorry. You know, they went from Pochettino used the players wrong to Pochettino use the players that are injured to Pochettino injured player in training. Yeah, which one is it? Which one? Listen, everything that you say in the media. Why is Palmer not injured then? Why didn't Palmer get injured?
Yeah, why isn't Gallagher?
Why Palmer? Why Jackson was not injured? Why Jackson went to AFCON, came back and not injured? Well, he doesn't coach Jackson the same way as he coaches.
Palmer not train with the team. He trains alone. He plays table tennis.
My point about it, people act like they are in the training sessions and they're in the know. See, you act like you're in the know. And also, one of the other things, you believe the reports you want to believe that suit your narrative, but you don't believe the others. When some guy on YouTube or on Twitter say Pochettino's training session is so hard, injured the player, you believe that. But when some other accounts say Pochettino has fixed up and the players are in form now and he improved play, you ignore it.
And the players love it.
You go past it. What I would say is this as well, right? I'm not saying some players didn't get injured in training. When it comes to my manager, right now, Ten Hag, you can tell there's an issue between him and some of the players. Body language, attitude. If Poch was running these players into the ground and hurting them all, why are they gutted that he's leaving? Because if footballers are and I think if I look at Casemiro as an example, I believe the reason he doesn't look bothered is because I think part of him feels the way we've set up this year when I was in midfield has exposed me at my age and it's made me look bad. I'm going to do what the manager asked me to do, but I'm not bought into this. Plus, a lot of the players look frustrated at the way they've trained and it's hurt them, and we look disjointed and we look disinterested. Chelsea haven't really looked like that. So that would be my question to you, C. If he's injured the players because his training sessions are bad, if he's played players injured and hurt that's then put them out for longer, why is the consensus from the same Chelsea journalists that the players are gutted that he's going? I'd love to understand your rationale behind that, my friend. Thank you.
And they're posting it on their own social media, by the way. It's not like it's speculation. It's not speculation. Jackson posted it.
No, Jackson posted it, Terry. No.
Guys, we don't need to. Yeah, 100%. Our fans can't look at the big picture. It's as frustrating as our owners. Context of the squad and injuries, new coach with bad pre-season plans, and players back late from internationals, and likely a points deduction is what Gav believes.
I mean, but give it to Maresca. He's gonna win the title.
Yeah, give it Maresca. Maresca's gonna figure it out in a month.
Ignore the body of work that Pochettino did even if you think, by the way, and I said that to Husam yesterday, and that's related to this. Even if you think, as a Chelsea fan, Maresca and McKenna are better coaches than Poch. I'm going to give you this. By how much? By how much? Is it the difference between, is it the same as Pep and Thomas Frank, for example? No, it's not. I guarantee you think he's better a little bit. Are you going to ignore the
max?
5%? Are you going to ignore the 1 year of body of work from Pochettino with these players that proven by points at the end of the season that he got it right? Are you going to ignore that to start over for 5% improvement of a coaching technique or whatever, or tactical, right? You're going to ignore that year and then throw it away and start over for 5% better. I get it if you're going to get Xabi Alonso, if you're going to get Zidane, but you aren't. Your wrist, your link.
That's the point, Mo. That's the problem. That's the problem.
But you want to ignore it. 16 games, the guy got more points than Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp Liverpool with Van Dijk, Salah, Trent, Alisson, McAllister. He got more points than him. Go check the form table from game week 23 to game week 38. He's been better than Klopp. And by the way, he's better than Klopp in even other metrics like chance and all this stuff. He's better. You're gonna ignore that body of work just because you didn't like he played Chilwell left wing?
Yeah, it's an interesting one for me. Certainly, Tomislav here, he called into the show earlier on today. Top man, he says, it is not even about if Poch is the best. It's about, are those replacements so much better to compensate for the damage and insecurity it brings?
It's exactly what I just said. Yeah, it's
Facts.
you aren't getting Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp is not leaving Liverpool tomorrow, signing for Chelsea. You aren't.
By the way, I think me, Terry, and Mo agree on this. If you're getting Zidane, our reaction will be completely different, but you're not. That's the problem. That's literally the issue.
I mean, Chelsea have pretty quickly sort of distanced themselves from all the established and experienced managers, really. And when I say experience, I mean experience at the highest level. They've all been dismissed.
But Chelsea fans should
Mo, within the first 5 hours, remember we were live? Within the first 5 hours, literally. Hansi Flick refuses Chelsea. Thomas Tuchel refuses Chelsea. This guy refuses Chelsea. Every single, as exactly what Terry said, every single proven manager gone now. That's it. This is a championship managers. Enjoy, guys. Enjoy.
By the way,
Next
all of these
season, I promise
changes
you, all
if
of you will be
Chelsea
the
get a
canal.
top manager.
I promise you.
If Chelsea get a top manager, I'll change what I'm saying. But we go only by the reports. Chelsea, Terry reads all the reports. Are they linked to a top manager? Can someone tell me the top name they're linked to?
There is no top
Do you guys know the highest name? Terry just put in the article. Zerbi is the biggest name they're linked.
Yeah, Zerbi is the big. And by the way, right, look, listen, I'm not throwing shade because what I do find really interesting is Chelsea are linked. We have Southgate in ours that they don't have. They have Enzo that we don't. But the majority of the managers that we're linked to, and Chelsea fans were laughing at Man United for being linked to for 3 or 4 weeks, are now the ones they're linked to. And there's almost some poetic justice in that around. You're like, you've upset the football gods, and it's almost like, because I think as well, if you said to Chelsea fans a month ago, you're going to sack Poch in 4 weeks, who do you want? The Zerbi's name would have been on the list for a lot of them, but it would have been the Zerbis and Inzaghi's and that type of manager. No one was saying any of the other names, and I think that suddenly again, I'm similar. The only difference between us and Man United is that we're at the beginning of something. You're 2 years into your change, and I do think there's a difference in that. I'm not talking about the quality of manager. I'm talking about your starting point, the continual change in direction, and then the lack of faith there could be from multiple areas of the club because you keep changing direction. Man United situation is going to be in the summer. We're all starting again, fresh slate, undefeated, sort of like Mighty Ducks 1, where they pull out the Mighty Duck jerseys and they say we're no longer D5, we're now the Mighty Ducks, and we're undefeated because the Mighty Ducks haven't played a game yet. Similar to that, because we're actually starting again. That's why I think there's a difference. Question for you boys. Let's say they end up with a McKenna, an Enzo, a Thomas Frank, the managers they're being really linked with. I mean, De Zerbi yet hasn't been linked to them through the media at all.
Yeah.
If they end up with these managers they're genuinely linked to, where do you see Husam, Chelsea finishing next season? If they get an Enzo, if they get a McKenna, where do you see Chelsea ending up next season?
Get Enzo out my club. Get Enzo out my club. Get McKenna out my club. He's playing this guy there. He has no style of play. I've had enough. We're Chelsea Football Club. Enzo Maresca's the Chelsea manager. Where do Chelsea finish? This one, if I'm being completely honest, I just think, Terry, this one is a very early question because it depends what happens in the transfer window. Now, Mo said something because Mo is smart when it comes to like, twisting a little bit what's happening in the world, and he can read a little bit into the future, short-term future. The fact that Terry put up the article, Mo said what he said about Chelsea, shows me that they're going to do a youth project thing again. It's so obvious. It's actually so obvious. As soon as Terry put on the screen, they want to control, even including in-game. They don't want anyone to make any transfer decisions. They don't want any of that stuff. They simply want this right here. This is, if you're a Chelsea fan, let me say this, don't put it off the screen, Terry. If you're a Chelsea fan and you're not pissed off with the last sentence, I genuinely don't get how does your brain even think? Like, what is your IQ and shoe size the same thing? Read that last sentence. With a control that could even stretch into elements of on-pitch coaching. That statement should worry any single fan of any single club if it was said about their football club. If I tell Arsenal fans Kroenke wants to get involved in Arteta's on-pitch coaching decisions, they will all go mad. You cannot have anyone getting involved with your on-pitch coaching. Now, where do they go in the summer? Terry, this depends what they sign. This depends what they sign. I'm seeing names like Sesko. I'm seeing names like all these guys. I ain't going to look at Chelsea and be scared. I ain't going to look at Chelsea and go like, oh my God, Chelsea worry me so much. They're going to sign Sesko. Oh, I'm shitting my pants. That's not what I think. It's so obvious they're going to do a youth project. And if they are going to continue to do a youth project, then Europa League football it is. Europa, conference, that's it. Top 4 is not a thing for them because Liverpool will be in a stronger position, Arsenal in a stronger position, City in a stronger position. Hell, if Spurs sign 2-3 players, I know they're in a stronger position. So this is just the reality of the situation. This is the reality.
I mean, a few people in the comments are saying this is like media hogwash. The problem is when those same journalists were talking about how poor Poch was, everybody took it as, yeah, they're telling the truth. And it's interesting how these media outlets are all kind of saying the same thing. It's so obvious that Chelsea Football Club are briefing them. And I think Chelsea Football Club are trying to put that message out there. Listen, this is what we expect from our managers. We want control. And that final set on-field sort of coaching. Let me put that up again. Elements of on-pitch coaching. Now, I don't know if that means match day. But I think what I'm reading into that is that they're going to turn around and say, this is the style of football we want. This is how we want you to play. And there's no deviating from that. Now, again, I
actually think there is another way. I'm sorry. Can I interject you here?
Yeah, go on.
I actually think because of and it's all connecting, right? Because of the youth project and the Estivaos and the guys there, I think they're going to get involved to the point that they would want these players to get minutes because we want to increase the value of that player and this player. Do you see what is happening? That happens in clubs that want to fill in the summer. For example, they go to the coach and say, by the way, we got this guy. We want you to try to give this guy a little bit of minutes. Trust him because we might want to sell him.
His transfer value up, basically.
Get his transfer value up. You know, that happens in clubs that don't like to win trophies, but the clubs that like to increase profit and turnover. You know that this is on. It's not tactical. They're not going to tell him play 4-3-3 or 4-4-2, but they're going to tell him, by the way, we're going to get this guy from whatever club in Brazil or Argentina or Italy, and we want to increase the value. We have to get this guy minutes. If you're going to play, we're going to need this guy. And I think that is it. And I don't know why Chelsea fans are so triggered. This is the reports. We are looking out for your
club. Them all why we triggered them? Mo, let me tell you why we triggered them. You know why they triggered them? Because they just don't get it. They genuinely don't.
No, I think it's the other way. The people you're triggering they believe what Mo's saying, but now they're hearing somebody else say it out loud. Because they've got to hope it ain't true. And I mean this, but I'm not as downbeat on Chelsea as you two sort of are. I think this is still work for them. They've got to create a plan, stick to a plan. I've spoke about this for so long with Man United. It hasn't been who we've hired per se. It's the changing of direction every 5 minutes. That's the bigger issue here. But if you're right, Mo, and they want control over who starts based on how much they pay for them and how much they want to sell them for, profitability, if they are putting profits and financial growth over winning trophies, as opposed to profits and financial growth to bring in more money to make us even better, if the football being the best it can possibly be isn't the pinnacle, they've got big problems at that club. They've got big problems. They've got huge problems. If what you're saying is true, there's trouble ahead.
I don't know, but I'm reading. But okay, we sit here. What do? We try to read the reports and conclude what is going to happen. That's our job as people that do YouTube, as people that talk to the people.
Be entertaining, though. Don't be boring. If you want to be a YouTuber,
I'm going to give you an example. Brighton. Sometimes the Zerbi this season, he'd have Gilmore and Pascal Gross fit. But I see a kid starting. Do we think this kid has a start over these guys? No. But we know what is happening.
Brighton 2.0.
But we know what is happening. You know what is happening? They got this kid that they think has huge potential and can be the next Caicedo. Oh, start this guy a little bit. You know what I mean? He would rotate players that you would think, if you're looking to win the games, You would start your starting 11, your strong starting 11. Why would you make subs if your team is winning? But he would make these changes. He would bench someone that you would think it's a full-on conclusion. This guy starts if he's fit. But you see this guy sitting on the bench. And I think this is where exactly the money. It's the profit.
Money. Remember, they hired
the
Brighton
margin,
scouts.
and
Remember?
they hired Brighton scouts. Because there is no point of you getting a kid from whatever place in the world, Brazil or even Spain or something, and this kid is not playing. What is the profit here? How can I increase the value of this kid? Someone has
How much
to
they
tell
paid for Estevao? 30 million, I think, right?
I have to tell the coach, by the way, that happens in a lot of clubs. You have to tell the coach, by the way, we bought this player. We want to give him minutes. Can you integrate him in the squad? The coach is like, but I have my starting 11. No. We need to push this guy a little bit. Give him some minutes. This is what's on-field decisions. But you guys don't want to understand this because that happens in a lot of clubs. But you guys don't see it.
You have Ineos next season. If Jim Ratcliffe wants to say in on-pitch decisions, what would you say?
In terms of no one on our board should be saying who should be picked and who should start in that direct way. That element should not and can't happen. They should dictate how they want the football to look. They should dictate the style of play. So if they say we want to play progressive football out from the back, high line, attacking, whatever it may be, they've got a right to suggest that. But when it comes to day-to-day coaching and picking of the teams and who makes in-game decisions, the board and the owner should have no place in that. And that's how I operate in my life and in business. You know, I tell KJ what I want, but then I let KJ implement it and then I review it. If he does a good job, he gets rewarded. If he doesn't do a good job, he gets developed. Do you know what I mean? And that's how it should be. You know what I mean? And KJ does a great job. And for years, I've spoken about the connections between sport and business. And a lot of people would like to say there is no connection. I feel that that's absolute nonsense. Someone who myself competed at a high level of sport and who's worked at a decent level of business, both corporately and for myself, there are absolute parallels. There are absolute parallels and similarities, and it's the same thing. And in so many ways. And I think if they're really controlling who starts in that game, and again, I think it's a little different at Brighton in the sense of they have a model, and their model to keep growing is to sell these players they invest. So I can understand them saying we've got to play these kids so we can sell them and grow the model. There's a longer term goal in that to keep increasing revenues, to keep staying in the Premier League, to keep growing the fan base, to keep growing the revenue. So one day they don't have to do that. I actually get it from Brighton's perspective. It's a different scenario. When you're at Chelsea, that shouldn't be what you guys are doing. You're already bringing in £500-600 million. You should be aiming to win trophies because you're not where Brighton is in the pyramid. You
aren't getting Andengra. You aren't getting Andengra for 2 million. You aren't. There is a comment here, a couple of comments, and I know Superchat, but it's a comment from someone. I think I lost it now. That comment, do you know what they said? And I know this is a Chelsea fan because he said Roman did it and no one said a word. So they know that it's happening. They know that it might happen. But because Roman did it, it's okay.
But that's wrong. I don't know what you. So when I say it's wrong that no one said a word. Because when it was announced that Shevchenko was signed, but he wasn't a Jose sign. Jose was just adamant I didn't want him. And this was in the era where managers run clubs. This was before sporting directors came in. Every Chelsea fan I knew was frustrated. They were like, why are we giving Jose a player he doesn't want? This is crazy. And then Shevchenko was a flop, world-class player, but a flop at Chelsea. And so it was challenged. I don't know about where this person was when it was going on, but the Chelsea fans I knew, I remember listening to Talk Sport. Chelsea fans are fuming about it. So there's many things that Roman's done that people complained about. When Ancelotti was sacked, I must have heard 30 calls into Talk Sport because that was the only platform back then. All angry. So this idea that Chelsea fans just rolled over and took everything Roman did is an absolute fallacy. It's an absolute fallacy. That never happened at all. Super chat here says, didn't Zerbi leave Brighton in a similar way to how Poch just left Chelsea? Yes. Which is why I'm not convinced Man United or Chelsea get Zerbi, because both clubs have been quite public about not wanting to give the manager control over transfers. And they're both left clubs for not having control over transfers. However, it all depends on the seeing eye to eye thing, which is key. This is a fun take with Payne. If KDB was never subbed on the Newcastle away game, we Arsenal
Would have won.
would have won, would be different. Just joking.
Yeah, and if the referees could make the correct decisions in the same stadium for a certain game, then also
We
things would
haven't.
be-
We haven't heard anything about that, Terry, until now. The offside thing.
yeah, the offside.
No
video
one
more.
said a word, bro.
I'm done with it. Oh, sorry, I already done that super chat here. So the real question, Terry, is: are you taking Poch at United? Like I've said, he's not my. I wouldn't personally pick him, but if he comes in, I'm going to give it time to.
I'm so shocked to
marinate.
say that, Terry, till this second. I understand your basically your thing is he hasn't won, which I accept is a fair thing to say. However, I'm looking at what Poch has done with United, or with Chelsea over this last year, the style, the structure, him playing a certain brand of football. I think he'd get the United fans on board directly.
So I'll be honest with you. Do I think he can make us play a nice style of football? Yes, I think he could. Like I've said, I wouldn't be against it. I'm not saying everything about it would be negative. I've just never been I've never endorsed him hugely. So I'm not going to suddenly be a hypocrite that he's linked to my club again and go, oh, I'm so excited. But if he comes in, I hope he does brilliantly. I hope
get the best out of your players and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I hope he does well. I mean, I have no agenda. I'm not going to have him come in and go, right, it wasn't my choice, so I'm going to be negative towards him, because I'm a grown-up. I'm an adult. I've got a, relatively mature mind when it comes to things like that. And yeah, I'm not going to do anything crazy. Right, Mo?
In the other room.
Did you shrink? Did you put yourself in the
washing
washing
other
machine?
room, Mo?
I went. The camera just heated up for some reason. My actual camera.
Yeah, zoom in.
Now we get to see how small Mo really is.
Yes.
4'2".
Let me try to zoom in. Let me try to zoom in.
4'2". No. He's at least 4'8".
There is breaking news. Yeah, we spoke about it at the beginning of the show, Elvis, my friend. So thank you very much indeed. Mo, isn't that what clubs will now do to beat profit and
I think he
sustainability?
means the FFP thing. Yeah, but that doesn't include getting involved with bloody on-pitch decisions. Like what Todd Wood is going to come down and give the motivational speech the London Derby or something.
Crazy. This is to you from earlier from Clicks, who says, Husam, it's called standards, has nothing to do with Roman.
Standards has become the new buzzword everyone wants to use. Unless you use it in an actual correct manner, then the word standards mean nothing to me. Stop just saying buzzwords. You have a Europa League squad, you finished in the Europa League positions. Done.
Yeah, standards is overused, and everyone should have standards, but there's relativity involved. As I always point out, if the man starts in the gym at 35 years old, 20 stone overweight, he could not set the same instant standards as somebody that's joined the gym that day, but from another gym, he's been training for 20 years and he's built like a brick shithouse. That what they do day to day in training is going to look different for a prolonged period of time. They both might have the same end goal, but how you get there from those starting points are different. And people that ignore that, for me, are mad. 5p in the making, and I'm already running out of popcorn. Thank you, Mansour. By the way, Mo, aside from Arsenal, Inter is my other passion.
Thank you so much. Got another camera out. Thank you so much.
He doesn't know.
But your microphone's not connected.
Yeah, that's your laptop. We can hear. There you are. Such a serious lack of professionalism, Mo.
This here says, think Bowley has understood he made a mistake with the $1 billion squad, so he's taking way out. He's making a new strategy, managers who grow young players and sell.
Yeah, but then if that is the case, I'm gonna say this right. If that's the case, then you're officially Brighton of the top 6. That's it.
In the next season, when they sell Cole Palmer to Man United for 90 million, it will be peak.
Yeah,
if that's the case,
Bro.
Speaking of big transfers, there's talk today. By the way, I do want to say this. I can't believe there was a pre-season or a post-season friendly today between Spurs and Newcastle in Australia, and yet all these clubs and managers moan about too many games in a season. It's a fucking joke. But Alexander Isak is linked with a move to Arsenal.
Wait,
There's a lot of
there was
talk.
a game.
It was a game today, yeah.
You didn't know this.
I didn't know about this.
Spurs, one day after the season ended, Spurs had to fly.
What are they doing one day after
18 hours to Australia?
Well, City have done post-season tours as well. That's why when I hear managers moan about too many games, I go, fuck off. Liars. But yeah, it's back to Arsenal. What are you saying, Husam? Could that be a game changer for the Gunners?
let Mo go first on this one because me, I have very unpopular opinion on Arsenal now. Go ahead, Mo.
No, I think Isak is going to be fantastic signing for them. He can play on the wing. He can play striker. I think this is what Arsenal need. Move on from the project players. Just get ready-made players. Game changing depending on what Man City does and who they bring in. But I think Alexander Isak. Can I say something? Alexander Isak should have been the guy that they brought in last summer. Someone similar to that. We're gonna go back to that again. They should have brought in someone like Alexander Isak last summer. They didn't. It's a year late, but late is better than never. I actually think he's a fantastic signing for them. I'm not sure if they're gonna be able to pay that much money for him, or Newcastle are gonna let him go, depending on how Newcastle view Arsenal next season. Do they view them as a top 4 contender with them, or a title contender that Newcastle aren't in? But I think it's a fantastic signing. This is what Arsenal need. Forget the guy that plays in Sporting Lisbon. Just get this guy. Forget Sesko from Leipzig. Get Alexander. If you can pay the money, get him. Get Alexander Isak.
I think Isak is one of the most overrated players in the English Premier League.
Yeah.
I think Isak is extremely overrated. I'm not quite sure that he actually suits the way Arsenal play football to begin with, to be honest with you. I think Arsenal, if they want to win anything next season, need to be serious this summer.
This is
The
serious.
players that they're being. 1 second, Mo. See how I let you speak first?
No, forget that monologue thing. This is serious.
Let me speak. Let me speak.
Alexander, why is Alexander Isak not serious? Let's have a discussion here. Why Alexander Isak not serious?
Tell you why. Signing Isak would be the equivalent of signing Dominic Solanke. Both are equal level strikers. Both are equal level strikers. You can go do all my God, all you want. I think Arsenal this summer need to 100% be serious in the transfer window and sign ready-made world-class players. This is the Alisson Van Dijk window for Arsenal. And if they don't sign any serious player, then I don't see them winning anything again next season. I think they need Kimmich level players. I think they need the best of the best. I think Arsenal Football Club are at a level now where they have built up their club, where they have built up their institution, where they have built up their reputation around Europe for being one of the best run clubs, one of the best clubs, one of the biggest clubs in Europe. Big up to you, Muki. What you cannot do as Arsenal is start this summer with the likes of Isak and Zubimendi, because it shows me that you're not going to win anything. That's just the reality of the situation. I think Arsenal need to be a bit more serious, a bit more strong with the transfer approach. If I am Arsenal, I'm going to sign Kimmich now. I'm going to sign the best of the best players available in world football currently. This moment, I'm gonna call Real Madrid. You guys want Mbappe? They give you everything you want for Rodrigo, as an example. Like, I'm gonna go all out and sign the best of the best. You cannot get these players. Isak, I don't think, is a Premier League winning striker. That's what I'll say.
This is what
would I take Isak? I employ Nunez, Suraida. And actually, no, I wouldn't take Isak. I don't want Isak.
This is what you think. That's not a fact. This is what Husam thinks.
Yeah, I don't like Isak. No, okay. I think he's a bit overrated.
But don't say Isak. Do you think Mateta is better than Isak?
There you are. See now how he's gonna exaggerate? Yalla. Give me another dumb
You
question.
said Solanke. Okay, hold on.
What's your next dumb question?
Terry Flowers. Who's better, Mateta or Solanke?
Solanke.
A little bit, right?
Marginally.
So it's not an exaggeration. Do you think Isak is way better than both?
Yes.
So what Husam is saying is outrageous.
Sam, listen, I understand, like, Rodrigo would be an excellent signing for Arsenal. He is not going to leave this summer from Real Madrid, though. That is not going to happen. So it's pie in the sky. But I believe that Isak could start and play for a team like Real Madrid. Not over Mbappe, because if Mbappe plays centrally, he's better. But I think Isak could go to a team like Real Madrid and score 20 as the number 9. He could go to... Say Mbappe wasn't going there. So you've got to understand what I'm saying here. Not over
but that's because they have Joselu.
Hang on, but the point, but you're not letting me finish my point. Say Mbappe retires this summer, he's going to go and become an actor, so he leaves. If they signed Isak at Real Madrid, he could score 30 goals in all comps, 35 goals in all comps 100%. In a season for him. He is that good. Isak could start and play for nearly any club in Europe. Nearly any club. He is so good, in my opinion. So I do believe he'd be a serious signing. I believe he'd be a very serious signing. He's got a great touch. He's got skill. He's got speed. He's clinical. You couldn't put a question mark over injury record. You could do that. But I don't see why he wouldn't be a top striker for Arsenal. And look how many goals he scored for Newcastle this year. Arsenal are a better team that create more. He could conceivably score 20 plus league goals a season. They're already scoring in the high 80s. He could easily push them to a team scoring 95 to 100 goals in a campaign. He's got the ability to push them to that next level. And what he would do really well is bring all the other players around him into play as well. So, yeah, I disagree with you hugely. I think Isak is a very serious signing for anyone in the Premier League.
This is serious.
I get where you guys are coming from, and it might work out, but it's just my unpopular opinion. I don't really rate Isak like that. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's anything special.
So who's out there better? So Arsenal need a striker. Who would you?
But here's the thing. I think with Arsenal right now, I just don't know, man. I just expect them to go for the world class level players right now. I just don't know if that's necessarily world class players level for them. I think they need much better.
Who's better than
they go to Newcastle, by the way, they need to go get Bruno Guimaraes. That's what they need to go get. They're getting the wrong guy.
Isak is better than Bruno Guimaraes as a football as someone that will benefit them. What are you talking about?
Bruno Guimaraes, Declan Rice, Odegaard would be the best midfield in the league.
That's absolute bollocks.
Yalla, deny it. Go ahead. Who has better?
I don't like Bruno Guimaraes. I don't think he's that good anyway.
Yeah, but you don't like Bruno Guimaraes based on what? Yalla, let me play your game. Based on what, Mo?
I can break it down. I can break it down. He's too slow, right?
He isn't.
Defensively, he's too slow defensively. His passing is not elite. He's not elite, right? And I think
who has elite passing as a DM other than Rodri? That's a fake point again. So that's 2-0 to Husam. Carry on.
What does that mean? I don't get what you're saying.
The only DM with elite passing in the whole world is Rodri. So don't even go there. Carry on though. Yalla, 2-0 Husam. Carry on.
But you said you want to go to world-class players. So do you want? So your argument against me is that, but there is no only one player. But you're arguing them. I think they get Kimmich is better than him.
100%. Kimmich is better. 100%.
I actually think Frankie de Jong.
I agree. Frankie de Jong is better.
Khalas, I debunked your point. 5-0 Mo. Just
no,
wait.
how did you debunk my point? Bruno Guimaraes is world class. Bruno Guimaraes is a world class player.
You think Bruno Guimaraes is world class and Isak isn't?
Yes, that's why Man City want him. Don't be silly, Mo. Man City is not out here signing any Tom, Dick, and Harry. They want the best of the best.
This take is very strange. But anyway,
this is not a strange take at all. Bruno Guimaraes, Declan Rice, Odegaard will be the best midfield in the league. By far. By far the best midfield.
Is it better than Foden, Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne?
Kevin De Bruyne is not fit half the time anyway.
Okay, is it better than Paqueta, Foden, and Rodri?
That's not the midfield that they'd play. That's
okay,
2-10.
That's what midfield that they would
play. You guys are laughing. They wouldn't play that. That's 2 10s and a 6. Pepe ain't gonna do that.
He literally did that in the last game. He played Kevin De Bruyne, Foden, and
against
Rodri.
West Ham at home. Wow.
But that's most of the game. Habibi, Man City play 16 teams like this all season. They don't play Arsenal, Liverpool every day. They don't.
Isak might be a good signing. Does he propel them?
He changed his mind. He's wrong. He's wrong.
I don't know.
He's wrong. He's wrong. He changes.
Arsenal fan here. The Arsenal event said if we can afford 110 million, it should be Victor Osimhen they sign. Do you think do you feel like that's what they've got to do for Sam, go after a player like him?
No, because I think Osimhen is overrated as well. I'm so honest with you. I don't think Osimhen is that good either.
Who do you should? Harry Kane, for example, Husam? Is that who should they go for?
Yes.
They really,
you know, I told Terry this idea from last summer.
Husam gave us speeches about being realistic, and then he comes up with these takes, bro. Do you
think if Arsenal call right now for Harry Kane to come to Arsenal, they go offer Bayern Munich 80 million, they won't sell him?
No.
Yes.
They won't sell him? But you have two different answers.
No, both of us agree with they won't sell him. Yes.
I think they will sell him.
Based on what?
Age, cost, everything.
That they need Harry Kane though, Bayern.
Because they will have to spend the 80 million on someone else that is worse than Harry Kane, bro.
You guys know Kane ain't gonna win anything again next season as well.
It's mad, isn't it? That he not only didn't win a trophy, he finished fucking third.
You know he won't even be in the German Super next season. That's how bad that is.
Oh my god! So
if Bayern Leverkusen win the cup, they're gonna play whoever's second. I think Stuttgart.
There's Stuttgart in it.
That's a crazy season for Bayern Munich ever. Finishing third, the guy doesn't even have a chance to win a Super Cup. He's never gonna get a medal in his life, bro. It's gonna be the Audi Cup. This guy's gonna live his life, and he's gonna have the Audi Cup, like the Audi Cup thing. It's crazy. But anyway, for Arsenal though, I think the question Arsenal need to ask themselves is that, forget the signings. I know they're going to go and get something out there. What's next for you? Do you keep Arteta next season and then and you put an ultimatum, or you give him a new contract now? And I know you're going to have a show about the Arteta contract and everything. All the signings that Arsenal will do won't matter until you know the future, because if you don't give Arteta a contract and you sign someone like Isak, you're going to tell him, come in, you're going to work with Arteta for 1 year and we don't know what's happening later. I think Declan Rice joined Arsenal for a project under Mikel Arteta. I think so. Mikel Arteta convinced him to join Arsenal for this young project that is progressive. You know what I mean? This is very tricky. It's very tricky for Arsenal this window. Forget the youngsters, forget signing youngsters, go sign ready-made players like Isak, like Frankie de Jong, like Kimmich's, and whoever you're going to go and get. But Arteta is the big question. Everything, the eyes are on him. Because Pep Guardiola might leave or might not leave next season. But a lot of fans demand trophies and stuff like this. And now even the people that say Arteta in demand trophies. This Arsenal team is a mystery to me because I don't know how to treat them. They're a very good team, an amazing team, right? They pushed Pep and fine margins tipped the title towards City, the young man's son, a referee's decision, a miss here and there from Arsenal. But you got to ask yourself a question. When does it stop? When should Arsenal demand a win? When should Arsenal sign?
I think they are. I think, look, majority of level-headed Arsenal fans you speak to, they are demanding a win, but of course they apply context to the situation. And I think they've already started to do that. But again, the club shouldn't be basing its signings purely on Arteta being there. It should be basing its signings on where Arsenal are. And irrespective, with or without Arteta, we're going to continue to move forward because they're in a position now to start behaving that way. Yeah. Because they're up near the top of the tree again. That's how you stay there. If you sell the idea that you'll play for Arteta, you might sign someone and they win the league. And then the next year they win the league. But then Arteta says, now I want to leave. What? All them players go, I lose. You've got to sell Arsenal to players, not so much Arteta. Super chat here says Rasmus Højlund or Isak. I'm going to back my boy Isak, my boy Højlund on that. That's what I'm doing. I'm just going to back him. I'm just backing him.
Isak.
I would burst if we got Rodrigo at Arsenal, to be honest. Yeah, it'd be a brilliant signing, but he's just not going to leave. Like right now, why is he going to leave Real Madrid with him? I know that there's competition, but I think Rodrigo might be a player that other teams can sign in a season or two, but he is not going to leave with all that's coming his way. He's still going to play a lot of games.
But also, if Rodrigo goes, that means Saka is going to sit on the bench. If Arsenal fans are okay with this, it's fine.
Oh my God, Rodrigo will not play on the right, man. He'll play on the left. Stop.
They play tonight, but if Leverkusen win the Europa and their domestic cup, will it be the greatest single season in European football history? And if someone disagrees, tell me why no one has ever done it before. Great question. If they do both, it's one of the greatest. I would still say that as a Man United fan, I would still say our treble is better because it's in the Champions League, which is a harder competition than who we went up against. Their league title win is amazing. Do I think the Bundesliga is as hard to win as the league was for City last season? No, I think it's it's a very hard league, but it isn't as hard as others. So when you look at Man United and Man City's treble, when you look at Barcelona's treble, when you look at Inter's treble, I believe at the particular times they were done, their leagues were harder. But I'm not playing down what Bayer Leverkusen have done. What stands there above other teams is that all of the teams I've mentioned were looked at as the best or one of the best teams in Europe when they did it. No one predicted Leverkusen winning the league. No one predicted them winning the Europa League. The fact they're doing all of it, that element makes it amazing. So it's one of the best.
And they're undefeated.
Yeah, So listen, if people want to crown it that, I'm not going to sit here and go, that's a mad take. I wouldn't personally, but it is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Isak overrated. Bayern would sell Kane to Arsenal for 80 million. Terry, you can keep calling him Hamza until he apologizes. This is not my uncle Husam. Yeah, maybe that's why subconsciously I keep calling you Hamza because you're saying mad things. They played in Australia today. No one even knew or cared. Well, in fairness, they sold out like 76,000 tickets. Yeah. So some people definitely did. Round two. Hi Terry, hi Husam, hi Mo. Thank you very much, Mucky. I appreciate that a lot. Look, I want to thank everybody that has tuned into the show today. It means a great deal to us. Remember to go and check out the Football Terrace Telegram group chat by scanning the QR code. Updates on transfers. There's some exclusive to Zerbi news that one of our partners has just put into that group chat that you can go and check out. That's already been posted in there. We're going to post it again in the next hour, so keep your eyes out for that. Very, very interesting indeed. Terry forgot undefeated. No, I definitely said that at the end. Me and Husam said it. You're probably a little bit behind when you're saying that. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you to all the super chatters. To Mo, Husam, thank you very much, boys. Until next time, everybody, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again